Hello everybody, vanburman here, and welcome to another one of my podcasts. I want to talk about the Steam box today, which some of you might have I presume most of you will have an interest in. And it's really quite an interesting development that's come out. It's been something that's been expected for a while, and obviously, as you know, fairly recently we've had it, officially confirmed. And we do also know that Steam are going to be sending out some early editions of their console and controller and everything to see how it plays and get people's feedback on it. I think there's 400 units going out at some point. Unfortunately, I can't tell you that I'm one of them. I wish I was, because I have seen the spec of the three. They've got 3 different models at the minute that they are sending out. So they have one with an i7, I think it is, and a GTX 7, a Titan, I think. Another one with a i5 with a 780 or 770, and then another one with an i3 and a 660. These are Nvidia's, obviously. So I can't remember what the RAM was. I can't remember what the RAM was, and they're using a hybrid HD hard disk drive and SSD. So it's the one where you have a small amount of SSD and then a huge amount of hard drive space. So they've got the 8 gig. I think it comes with 8 gig for which is SSD, which is obviously going to be used for the operating system, and it will make it start up really, really quickly. And then you've got the hard drive, and that will obviously be to download your games on. So it's sort of similar to the configuration I have, in a sense, although I have a bigger one for obviously Windows and for whatever game I'm recording at the time, was really just trying to speed things up. So there is all that in there. The other thing is it will be coming with Steam's own Linux-based operating system, which should be quite interesting as well. And obviously the Steam box will be something you will also be able to install Windows on as well, so you'll be able to choose between one or the other. Obviously Windows isn't going to fit on the 8 gig, but you could partition the hard drive, I suppose, the rest of the hard drive, and have a Windows option on there. So you have got that compatibility in order to be able to use it as a PC as well, technically. Although even though it is built for the living room, the Steam box, obviously. And the new controllers, they do look quite interesting. If you haven't seen them, I suggest you go and have a look. I'm not megally impressed by them, but you will be able to use your Xbox controllers. And if I'm correct, you'll also be able to use PlayStation 3 controllers. They should sync up, from what I've heard anyway, whether that's true or not. So there's a lot of compatibility there with existing consoles and things. Obviously, it's just for Steam to try and make it as accessible as possible. But what they're really doing is they're only working on the operating system, the Linux operating system, and they're actually leaving the development of the hardware up to Nvidia. So it'll be interesting to see if they can actually do a good job on it. It is Nvidia, so they're a company that I do hold in quite high regard. Whether they'll be that good at building a whole system, I'm unsure of that. But if you've got someone big like Steam asking you to come and do it, then, or Valve, then I think Valve's another company that I hold in high regard, so I presume they know what they're doing. But it's all very interesting, and it's going to come out. I believe that the Steam box is going to come out end of next year, if that's right, from what I've heard. So it's still a long way off, and obviously the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One will already be out by then. It's a bit of a disadvantage. They probably should have stepped the game up a little bit and tried to get it done sooner, but if Valve aren't rushing it, then that's always a good thing as well. For anyone that's used Linux before, you'll know that that there are very good operating systems based around or using with Linux. It all works very well. You just don't have the compatibility of the Windows operating system, really. And Steam have made a lot of games available for Linux, and I presume every game will be able to run, or I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but the way I would imagine is that their operating system will be able to run every one of their games, hopefully, or at least the games with controller support. But I am quite intrigued to see how it is all going to work. And quite frankly, I'd love to be one of the testers, just because I'd love to have one. I'd love to have the one with the i7 and the Titan in. I mean, yeah, that would be cool. I do feel as though the sticking point for these Steam boxes are going to be the price. There's no mention of price at all. But for an i7 and a Titan, and I think it was 12 gig of, I can't remember if it was Kingston or Corsair RAM, Extreme RAM. I think it was Kingston. Yeah, running at 2200 megahertz as well. That was I remember the spec from the top model, or the RAM from the top model. So, that's going to be able to run anything, basically any game on the highest settings, which is obviously the point. And is those specs would outperform a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, especially with a really light operating system as well. It's just whether people will take to it or not. So anyway, let me know what you think. If you could have, it's a bit of a silly question, but if you could have the highest rated Steam box, or have a Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, which one would you choose? Personally, I'd pick the Steam box if I had to pick one. I'd probably use a different controller than the Steam controller, though, by the looks of it at the minute. I don't think I quite like the whole touchpad on your analog stick thing going on. The only other thing, of course, is that Steam are limited by the games that they sell themselves. Valve are limited by what they sell on Steam. Yeah, so there's obviously some games that you can't get, for example, which are obviously quite popular on consoles. So obviously at the minute there'll be no GTA, there'd be no, not that many people care about it, but there'd be no FIFA either. So there are those things to consider. And there's obviously more questions, but I'd like to know whether they are going to support games like Total War, and have a keyboard and mouse option on the. I presume they will, because I can't see why they wouldn't. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like a really good idea. It would just come down to the fine print, basically, as to whether it will work or not. So something that I'm looking forward to. And I have put myself down on the beta testing lists, because I constantly get the version of Steam, the beta version. Yeah, I constantly use the beta version of Steam, so I think that makes me eligible, but I'm not sure. If I do find out near the time, I am obviously going to put my name forward to try it out, because that would be amazing, and of course I can bring footage of it to you guys as well and give you a review on it. That's obviously all spectacle at the minute, because I'm not sure whether that's going to happen. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody, and just thought I would give you my thoughts on the announcement of the Steam box. I hope it gets a better name than that. But anyway, see you next time, guys. Goodbye.